Have you ever wondered what would happen if your AI didn't just work for you, but actually worked with other AIs, as a team? Well, today we are diving into the incredible world of multi-agent systems. This is where individual programs team up to solve problems that a single AI just couldn't handle on its own. Let's get into it. Just think about this for a second. What if your software could do more than just, follow a list of commands? What if it could act as your personal delegate, truly understanding your goals and then going out and negotiating with other programs to get you the absolute best deal? That's the powerful idea we're digging into today. So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll nail down what an AI agent even is. Then we'll get into how they communicate and how they make deals. We'll see it all come to life in a really cool supply chain story, and then we'll wrap up with why these digital teams are such a game changer. Okay, first things first. Before we can talk about a team, we have to understand the players. So what exactly is an AI agent? The simplest way to think about it is this. An agent is a program that has autonomy. That means it can act on its own to achieve a goal you give it. So you're not just using a tool, you've got an active, independent partner working for you. So yeah, don't get bogged down picturing complicated lines of code. A much better way to think about it is to picture a digital employee, a specialist that you've hired for one specific job who can just go off and get it done all by themselves. And every one of these digital workers basically has three key skills. Autonomy means they can make their own calls. Communication, well, that's how they talk to each other. But coordination, that's the real magic here. That's the ability to truly work together to tackle problems that are way too big for any single one of them to solve alone. Okay, so if these agents are all independent teammates, that raises a really important question, right? How in the world do they actually talk to each other and stay on the same page? And this is a serious challenge. For any team to work well, everybody has to understand each other perfectly. So how do you make sure there are no misunderstandings when your team is made up of digital workers? Just take a look at this. On the left, you see how a person might ask a question. It's polite, it's casual, but it's also a little fuzzy. For an AI, that ambiguity is a huge problem. That's why they talk like you see on the right, a super structured, super precise message. The intent, or what's called the performative, is clearly a request. The content is the specific task. There is literally zero room for error. And this special structured way of talking is called an agent communication language, or ACL for short. The best analogy is to think of it less like a casual text message and more like a formal business email or even a digital invoice. Every single field, who it's from, who it's to, what it's for, is perfectly clear, so the message gets understood perfectly every single time. So let's break that down. The performative is just the purpose. Is this a request, or am I just informing you of something? Then, of course, you've got the sender and receiver. The content is the actual meat of the message, and the protocol kind of sets the ground rules for this specific conversation. Every single piece is there to ensure total clarity. Okay, so now that agents can communicate with this level of precision, it unlocks a really powerful new skill. They can negotiate. And this is where things get really cool. Think about any team you've ever been on. People have different priorities, right? Well, it's the same for agents. But instead of just getting stuck or arguing, they use these structured negotiation rules to find the best possible compromise that helps the whole team move forward. So how do you make sure these negotiations actually go somewhere? Well, they often use a really simple but powerful rule. An agent will start by making its perfect ideal offer. But after that, any new offer it makes has to be a concession. It has to be a little bit better for the other agent. This way, they're always inching closer to a deal. It's a one-way street toward an agreement, and it's called the monotonic concession protocol. The whole thing really boils down to this simple four-step dance. Step 1, an agent makes a proposal. Step 2, the others check it out and see if it works for them. Step 3, if there's no deal, somebody has to concede and make a better offer for the others. And they just repeat this loop until, finally, an offer lands that everyone can agree on. Boom, deal made. I know this can all sound a little abstract, so let's make it real. Let's look at a practical example of how this all works in the real world. Okay, picture a grocery store. They've got a classic, tricky problem. They need to keep a fresh product, like milk or produce, on the shelves. Order too much, and it goes bad. Order too little, and you lose sales. This is a perfect job for a digital team. So in this scenario, every key player gets their own agent.
The grocery store has an agent, and its only goal is to keep those shelves stocked efficiently. And each of the suppliers, they get their own agents too, and their goals are to sell their products on their own terms.
And right away, the grocery store's agent runs into a classic dilemma. It's got two options. There's the regular supplier, who's cheap, but they're slow, and you have to place big orders. Then there's the emergency supplier. They're close by, super fast and flexible, but they cost more. Neither one is a perfect solution on its own. So what does it do? It doesn't have to pick just one. It negotiates. The retailer's agent starts talking to both supplier agents at the same time. It's proposing, it's evaluating their counteroffers, it's making concessions, all to find that perfect balance between cost, speed, and order size. It creates a custom blended strategy that nails the store's goals. That supply chain story is a perfect snapshot of why this idea is so important. So let's just zoom out for a second and really hit on the big picture. Why is this technology so transformative? The real power here is moving away from one giant centralized program that has to know everything. Instead, you have a nimble team of specialists who can collaborate. This means they can come up with smarter, more efficient solutions, they can adapt to changes on the fly, and they can automate incredibly complex decisions that would take a team of people hours or even days to figure out. And make no mistake, this isn't some niche, futuristic idea. As the source material points out, this way of thinking about AI as a collaborative team is really set to become a core part of how we solve problems across business, logistics, you name it. And so I'll leave you with this one final thought to chew on. As these digital teams of autonomous agents get better and better, what's the first big, complicated problem that you'd want to hand over to them to solve? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.